and welcome back to Brick Rigs. The noise you can hear in the background is going to be explained all in a moment. I am back here on the city map, well, at least the version that's currently in the game, and we're here at the airport, and that's because I'll be showing off another flying aircraft as it rolls towards me. I didn't realise it was doing this. But yes, this is a VB-02 Vertibird. Some of you may remember my VB-01 Vertibirds from Fallout 4, and recently, whilst my friend was building something in a multiplayer game, I was just playing around with some of the stuff that I've made, and I just got out a couple of my VB-01 Vertibirds and was just flying around in them. And I thought, well, you know, the Fallout 4 Vertibirds are all well and good, but what about the Vertibirds that I first met? And that is the Vertibirds in Fallout 3. And, well, this is sort of how they looked, at least from the pictures on the internets that I could find and from what I could remember, and from various videos and things. This is the general shape of the VB-02 Vertibird, which is a altogether different make and type from the Vertibirds we see in the Commonwealth and the Brotherhood use in Fallout 4. Of course, it's got all the hallmarks of a Vertibird: verticals, takeoff and landing, tilt-wing aircraft, etc., etc. However, this design is all the more different. Obviously, the tail is slightly different. Only the upper rudder actually has moving parts on it. These bits fold up in the actual design into the back of the tail, for, I guess, stowage purposes. Not too sure otherwise why. This is off-coloured because that's how the models are, as is this line here. I don't know what it is. I'm very happy with how this line actually came out. But yeah, so there's this line. The Vertibirds actually have this weird overhang, and then you've got these grill vents which sort of sit in the back, and it all sort of tapers towards a rather actually conventional aircraft-looking tail. The rest of it is all very well rounded. There's this sort of segment in the middle which has got a vent on it which sort of sticks out, which is what I've done here. There's also a weird vent on here. There's a couple of pipes in this cutout on top. That's also in the in-game version. It's got this quad landing feet system, which is an altogether better design, in my opinion, to the VB-01 Vertibirds that we see in the Fallout 4 Commonwealth. Instead, in the downtown DC area, and indeed just in DC in general, we see these Vertibirds that the Brotherhood and the Enclave use, and these have got an altogether more sturdy, far better gate for their landing leg system, as you can see with the four wheels in a very wide splayed thing to display the load, which is an altogether good idea. Then it has these sort of weird bulges which sort of bulge out. They are meant to sort of slope upwards in this direction, but yeah, I couldn't quite do that. These hatches actually open. They are openable hatches. Then we come to the cockpit, which I'm quite pleased with how it came out. It was definitely a very difficult thing to do. It was a bit of a bugger, but I managed to get it sorted-ish. It's got the bulges on either side, which is sort of like a dragonfly thing, because that was the inspiration for the original Vertibird design. It also has these guns down here, which are in balls underneath. It's sort of mash-up, I suppose, to make it simple for me to say. It's sort of a mash-up of various Vertibird designs, but mostly leaning on the gunship design. So yeah, these things would be guns, obviously. And then the front, this is a minigun, I believe, or a Gatling laser, or some sort of thing on the front here. It's got these grill vents which stretch down and around. They're meant to also stretch underneath the cockpit here, but I didn't do that. And then, I suppose, heading back up here to the wings. The wings are actually held on by these two poles, which I'm not too sure why they would design aircraft like that, because it seems very easy for those things to just get shot off and the entire engine to just whiz off along with the wing. But hey, that's the design that they went for in the Fallout universe for tilt-wing aircraft, which makes it a very weird design. But yeah, so that's held on there. It's got the nice joining thing, which I'm very pleased with how that came out. It's got this, this is meant to be like a fan, but the fan was too difficult to make, so I just settled with a grill piece. But yeah, it's got that and some wiring, which then leads into the engine. The engine is a bit was a bit difficult to do. It's meant to have vents all around this black cone down here, but again, a bit tricky to replicate, so I've just left it as a black cone, tipped, obviously. It does have part of the engine exposed, which is sort of like lots of venting and stuff, probably to keep the engine cool in flight, so it's got these grill pieces again here, and then it's got the fake propeller on either wing, on either engine even, which has then got the cone on it. And yeah, this is meant to be a vent as well. There was a vent sort of up here as well, sort of, I guess, air intake perhaps, which would then lead into the engine. I don't know. I didn't design the Vertibirds in the Fallout universe. But yeah, so there is the basic overview of the outside of it, and if we sit inside of it here, so this is how it looks when you look around. You can use pitch to open these side hatches here, as you can see. Very pleased with how those things came out. And there is a way in Fallout 3 in various places looking inside the Vertibird. So this is what you would see if you were inside. You'd have the cockpit controls here. You wouldn't have these bulges here, but it's the only way I could have done this. It's the only way I could get the bulges on the outside for the outside vision slits. The front vision slits are just solid black lines. I did want you to be able to see out from inside, but it was just far too difficult, so I just left it with this fake interior vision slits, which they work perfectly well. You know, they've come out alright. There is lighting inside of here. I can't see really from pictures where the lighting comes from for the inside of the cockpit, so I've just put another red light, which makes sense for the rear red light, which there is actually pictures of. And so yeah, they've got this just red light inside. They also have some seating. I'm not too sure exactly where in the layout of the Vertibird the seating is, so I've just put it in the centre here. There is of course ways to get into the bulges, and I did see that there wasn't actually anything in these bulges, so they're just useful standing space, I guess, for guys in power armour to just be sort of standing there, which is fair enough. And then you've got the doors at the back, and then inside here it's all just building components. So yeah, that is the basics of this Vertibird. However, it is very heavy. I have had to use 2 helicopter engines in here. There is actually 2 stacked on top of each other, which feeds onto the one rotor. It means that it does take off very quickly, but it was the only way to take it off. It's 2 or nothing, pretty much, because it's just that heavy. Because in order for it to sustain the weight, which I found with the VB01 Vertibird that I made, the landing legs did collapse when they were just plastic, so instead I just made the entire landing leg system out of steel, which probably is why it weighs so much and why I need 2 helicopter engines. But yeah, so there's just steel for the landing legs. But so yeah, let's take off this bad boy. As you can see, very quick takeoff. It rises as well quite easily. And then in flight, it's the usual helicopter controls, W and S to ascend and descend, and then it's view. It's using your mouse to have a look around is how you tilt and lean the aircraft, and then for actually turning, it's A and D. So your basic standard helicopter controls and brick rigs. And then for this Vertibird, in order to raise and lower the legs, let's just show it here in a decent light. Oh god, don't do that. Oh god, don't do that. Pull up, pull up, pull up. There we go. So from here, if you use pitch, you will control the legs like so. Let me actually get a better view of this Vertibird so that I don't crash it on its flight here. Okay, there we go. So yeah, you got a basic view of the legs there. If I do it from this position, which is probably where you'd be seeing it most, that's how they look. So yeah, they just all sort of fold in like this. The wheels are meant to sort of fold sideways and go into it, but that was all far too tricky, and I didn't know it at the time, so they just sort of fold in like that. But it looks decent enough, and it works perfectly well. Yes, but as I was saying, my recording cut out there, sorry, but yes, so as I was saying, the landing legs work perfectly well. Whilst you're in flight, you can't change the angle of the oh, for goodness sakes, there we go. You can't actually change the angle of the rotation of the wings. Instead, you have to press Alt and then use steering like that, and then you can change them to an angle like so. Which, there you go. So you can sort of change it to an angle like that. or you can have it in the just straight up angle like that. And yeah, it all works and functions perfectly fine. It might actually work better than the original VBO1 Vertibirds that I made. Even though, in terms of looks, some people will probably find it more ugly than the VBO1 Vertibirds. I don't mind. Vertibirds are Vertibirds. They're just great fun little things. But yeah, so it's got seating for plenty of people. Obviously you can't fly it like this, so I'd better get back out there. But yeah, so you can have up to 4 more people in there, plus the 2 pilots. So yeah, and then if we just go in for a landing, you can just lay out the legs like so. Just carefully, obviously, rotate the wings for that added authenticity, and then you can just sort of come down in a nice gentle approach. Ouch. Okay, I might have damaged the legs there a little bit. That was a bit of a hard landing, but yeah, you get the general gist of it. You would land like so, and it works. I just came down hard in that case. I didn't quite realise how close to the ground I was when I was laying it down. But yeah, so that is the this version of the VBO2. However, there is another one. Gentlemen, welcome to the Mojave Wasteland. Yes, Bear Force 1 from Fallout New Vegas, which is, I think, the only specialist VBO 2 Vertibirds that we know about from Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. Mostly the Vertibirds just looked pretty much the same, although there was a distinct lack of Vertibirds in the Mojave Wasteland of New Vegas and its surrounding areas. But maybe that's just because they didn't use Vertibirds all that often in that area. Obviously, DC in that area is going to be packed with people and therefore military installations because it is the capital of the US. But the Mojave Wasteland is just a desert, so there's not going to be many places out there apart from a few isolated military camps, so that's understandable. But this Vertibird, as you can see, does differ a lot. This is in fact President Aaron Kimball's personal Vertibird, and is of course a play on Air Force One, the actual presidential jet which transports him to and from, or her from to and from meetings and whatnot. However, in the Fallout version, this is Bear Force 1, and it's good because the NCR's symbol is a double-headed bear and a star. So, how does this Vertibird differ? Not actually too much. The colours are, of course, different. This is meant to be the off-white of the main body of the of Bear Force 1, actually, in Fallout New Vegas. Most of the top half of Bear Force 1 is, in fact, this dark olive green, which makes it look quite nice, to be honest. Of course, mostly everything else has stayed the same. The helicopter rotor tips, as you can see, are white, yellow tipped, like the actual Vertibird, and it's also got the red tip of the nose cone for the top of the propeller. Other than that, yeah, pretty much the same there. As for the sides, I suppose, here there is actually meant to be printed the double-headed bear and a star of the NCR. However, it's very difficult to actually try and make something like the bear of the NCR in such a small scale in order to fit on this basically, well, about 4 bricks wide space. So instead I've had to substitute it for the yellow star, so keeping that in there, but then also just the lettering NCR on there. On top of here there is also NCR written. That should really be a bigger writing, but you can't get any bigger writing than what's currently on there, so that'll have to do. NCR, if you don't know, stands for the New California Republic, which is one of the main factions in Fallout New Vegas. So there's that. Also printed on the side is NCR, which has got some more writing there. Coming down to the back, there isn't actually anything written on the tail or anything. However, it does have yellow indents instead of the regular base sort of dark grey colour of the Vertibirds. As for actually inside President Kimball's Vertibird, no one knows because it doesn't actually have an interior model because you can't go in it. So I've instead just kept the regular interior of the VBO2, including lights and stuff. Although you can say that these seats would be used for his bodyguard. I suppose some NCR troopers or rangers or whatever would sit there. Plus the president himself, of course. And so yeah, once again, nothing too out of the ordinary compared to the other Vertibird. It flies perfectly well. Again, the landing gear can of course fold up again, like so. Works perfectly well. You can fly it perfectly normally. You can as well, yeah, tilt the wings and stuff, so have them at an angle for when you're flying like that. Yeah. All of the regular things that a Vertibird normally does. If we, for example, wanted to pay the NCR troops at this outpost, let's say. I don't know why the NCR would want to set up in this kind of an outpost with crashes and stuff, but hey, if the president was to make a speech to the troops at this NCR outpost, we can easily just sort of land here without too much of a fuss, as long as the rotor blades don't actually hit that ramp. No, there we go. And boom, just like that, Vertibird has landed, the president is out, and he's making a speech to the troopers. And then, of course, once he's done, everyone gets back into the Vertibird. Pilot spins it up, and away it goes. Landing legs come up, and whoosh, away we go. That's a very weird takeoff angle there. But yeah, so you get the general gist of this. And then just to compare it to the VB-01 Vertibirds, if we just get out the US Army version. Oh, if we get out, here we go, this one. As you can see, there is a bunch of differences between the two Vertibirds. For some reason the US Army one wants to just tip over like that. Who knows why. But yeah, so there we go. There's the two of them, Bear Force 1 and the, I think, fake, probably US Army version, VB-01 Vertibird, which crushes itself. Those damn communists messing with our Vertibirds. But yeah, so yeah, that is the VB-02 Vertibird, the newest version of the Vertibirds that I have made. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.